the ironic thing is, and I think a lot of people that write from like heavy themes, is this happens to them. It's like when you're not feeling so bad, it's harder to write because like I still like to write those types of songs more than anything. So it has been harder to write lately, and I do tend to write mostly when I feel like I need to. Like I had a counseling session this week, and we were talking about like I was talking about emotions. Like now I get to be more intentional about what I do and everything because I'm not being led around by like these big emotions I can't control. Another friend I was talking to too, I'm just like, all of this stuff is freedom. Like every little bit that you have more intention in what you're doing with your life, like that's freedom. So that to me is a big goal in life. Is just get to a point where like I can sit down and choose to write a song. I'm not like surviving by writing the song and barely getting through the day.
Welcome to another episode of Loves Music. I recently discovered the VLNTYN band just browsing on Threads, and lead singer and guitarist Jorge Valentine was able to join me for a conversation. We talked about his creative process, we talked about creating balance, managing the creative with also the business side of the music industry. We had a great conversation, and I'm sure you're really going to like it. Come on. So Jorge, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing a little bit about your background with me, talking about why you love music. Funny how we met for the viewers out there. This is how funny life is. I don't even know how much of this story you remember, but it actually made an impact on me. You made a post about like dark alternative rock music, right? And most people just scroll, but now I go down like the rabbit hole of like, all right, what do I really think about this, right? From like one single post. And I'm like,
Sure.
is it like Paris? Is it like, I start thinking about that Danger Mouse project that like the one that he did with David Lynch. I'm like, what's really dark alt rock music? And then you and I start having this back and forth. I'm like, man, this is a cool guy. I ended up buying a t-shirt from you, right? It
Yeah.
came like two and a half weeks later. You sent a handwritten letter, and I'm like, I'm officially a fan for life. I don't know what it is about this. I don't care what the music is at this point. Like I rock with this dude. This is my guy. If he comes anywhere near Philadelphia, I'm going to a show and bringing as many people as I can. So thank you for being here. It actually means a lot to me personally. How much of that story do you remember it like that? How accurate is that story?
Yeah, no, that sounds like everything that I was thinking. Now I have a terrible memory, like just in general. But I know that that's how we met, and that was kind of the back and forth we were talking about. I've been just like yourself. I think it seems like you have maybe done it a little bit more than I have already. But the threads thing, trying to like do some more actual engaging with people than I have in the past online, because you kind of have to if you want to, find your people. So it's been
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah.
Now, could you give me a context for that question? Because what it appeared to me as is that you were almost like reverse engineering your sound. You had like a sound in mind. You didn't have
Right.
a ton of content out there, and the stuff you had was cool visually and sonically. It was cool stuff. So were you trying to like kind of reverse engineer a sound, looking for a sound for a project, just getting some kind of online feedback? Like take me inside your process there.
Yeah, it's been so. I think in October, I kind of started rebranding things musically, and I've been making music for 15 plus years. But I just kind of realized recently it's like I'm doing a lot of stuff that's heavy themes, dark themes. A lot of the music I like is that way, but I've been like kind of shying away from presenting myself that way because I feel like I felt awkward about it or I didn't want to put people off. So now I'm just like, okay, I'm never going to really be the kind of artist I want to be if I don't lean into those things, because those are the people that I connected with. Those are the songs that, I felt like got me through really hard times. And I'm like, if I'm going to be trying to put myself out there for real and do something that's meaningful to other people, I got to be willing to be that same way. I got to be willing to like be like, it's okay to say these things. It's okay to feel these things, because it helped me. So like, I'm just trying to kind of do the same thing as those artists I liked. Yeah. So that's been a big part of it.
So if you don't mind, I want to unpack that a little bit. When you say those artists, can you give me some of the inspirations and kind of the
Yeah.
influences of your sound?
Yeah. So the big three that I've been kind of using as like in my bio to describe a mix of sounds is Bright Eyes, Elliott Smith, and then Brand New, which I think is more for the kind of the atmospheric, dark vibe of the music, especially in the later albums. They do a little bit more like screaming stuff at times that I don't do, but just that vibe of like, there's something kind of unsettling in the background.
Okay. Now, is this a situation where life is kind of imitating art? I mean, are there things or like present dark themes in your life? And you can share as much or as little as you like with that
Yeah,
question.
yeah. A lot less now, so it's been interesting to like make this transition with the visuals and the name of the artist name and everything, while I'm actually getting to like a lot healthier of a place as a person. But I definitely have written a lot from that place just to get myself through stuff. So most of the songs I write are really autobiographical. Some are very like literal, very specific. Like I have a song that I don't have out yet. It's called "We Could Have Been," and it's just like very literal, like some of the last times before or going through my divorce stuff. I'm probably going to put out an EP or album that's a bunch of those songs that came out of that, and it's going to be the working title's "Couples Counseling." I have a song called that I think will kind of just really hammer it home. But so it's stuff that's like it's pretty heavy at times, but also I just feel like I know I'm not the only one going through those things, and I know it's going to help me kind of fully let go of what I need to there by putting it out there. And for some people, I think it'll just help them feel a little more understood.
Absolutely. Do you feel like the darker stuff comes easier for you to write?
Yeah, because especially in the past few years when I was going through it a lot more, I had to get it out. It was the only way that I really got my feelings out in a healthy way. I felt like so let me let go of those things a little bit. Sometimes I'm in a place where like something really happy comes out, but it's pretty rare. I just gravitate towards those kind of sounds. And it
Mm.
just, even if I'm in a good place mentally, it just like, I just like the sound of that darker stuff personally.
I can get behind that. If we were to zoom out a little more, so somebody could kind of get a snapshot of like your writing environment, city, school, neighborhood. Give me a little bit of like your like kind of your surroundings.
Yeah. So I'm in Milwaukee. I grew up in like public schools. My family actually came here from Mexico when I was pretty small. So I think like a lot of artists and a lot of people these days, I've just moved around a good amount, and that kind of creates one aspect of like not feeling like you fit into anything. So I mean, I think this is true for most creative people. Like you start to just build your own world, right? Like you find
Mm.
places that you create for yourself, and then maybe for other people to join you in. Um, so that's been a big part of it. But yeah, just kind of feeling like I never quite fit in. I had to learn English initially. Like I didn't speak English when I was first moved here. So now it's my main language. I speak more English than Spanish, but like I grew up initially just speaking Spanish. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's just kind of like moving from one world to another cross country, and always feeling a little bit out of it, like out of the loop that way.
Wow. So from Milwaukee by way of Mexico. Wow,
Yeah, right.
that's
Yeah,
something.
pretty different.
What
Yeah.
now? What are your earliest memories of music? Like the first time you heard a sound and you're like, "That's music." What is that?
It's hard to say. Weirdly, I actually a lot of the stuff that I'm like now doing most in my life, I got into pretty late. So like my dad was actually a DJ when he was younger, so I'm sure I heard a lot of stuff. He's never like listened to the kind of stuff I listen to in the same way, but um, he was into like disco and like just all sorts of stuff. Um, but I think that when I started to get into it, it was like early to mid high school. I had a couple people, like I had a girlfriend who made me some CDs with like some of the kind of stuff that I'm really into now, like Death Cab for Cutie and some other stuff that's in that indie kind of sound. So that's really like where it first started to really hit me as like a bigger thing was like 14, 15 years old in high school.
Okay, so give me the year the age range. I'm assuming you're probably younger than me. What year did you graduate?
2008.
Okay, so you're 14, 15, turn of the century, probably a little bit later. Death Cab's actually like on the rise. I think Narrow, one of my favorite albums ever, Narrow Stairs, I think is 2008. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah, huge
Yeah.
Death Cab fan.
Nice.
I actually didn't get Death Cab until like the third time seeing them. Like they were playing festival circuits and opening for people, and I
Yeah.
was like, I always liked them, but they didn't really resonate. And then they played the Sunset set at Firefly, and I heard transatlanticism on the right, cocktail of stuff, and and I was like, oh, that's how you're supposed to listen to Death Cab, and then they became like one of my
Yeah.
favorite bands. I mean, Kath is one of the best songs ever,
Yeah,
arguably.
it's a great one.
Yeah. Do you remember your first concert?
I think the first concert I went to, my older sister took me when I was like maybe 11, and I think it was I'm pretty sure it was In Sync, which is hilarious.
Not
I
I'm with you, man.
don't know why. Maybe she had to babysit me and she didn't have a choice. Like she had to take me with because I'm like I don't know why she took me, but that's all I can think of.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
my don't sleep on the boy band stuff. My brother was a big NSYNC
Yeah.
fan, right? So
Okay.
I graduated in '99. I'm
Okay.
raised on like hip hop, gangster rap. He comes up 4 years behind me, raised on boy band stuff. My mom, hey,
Sure.
take your brother to go see NSYNC. Bro, I haven't missed a Justin Timberlake concert in Philadelphia. I don't think
Cool.
ever. There might have been like one I missed. I saw like NSYNC twice, then his solo stuff. That stuff's
Okay.
good. That pop music's good, man. Don't sleep on the pop music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big songwriter, like at heart, like the craft itself and like songwriting. Even though I don't write stuff that's necessarily as poppy necessarily, it's like I did a lot of reading about it years ago, and like I still think about those things a lot when I write. And I mean, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, it's too catchy, it's too pop. Like if it's good, it's good. You know, like
Sure.
Chapel Roan, like the Pink Pony Club song. For some reason,
It's
that one's really
fantastic.
hit me recently. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
there's just something so like so real. Like talking about being on stage. Like anybody that's like getting out there and putting themselves on stage, like yeah, you want to make it in some way. Like some part of you just wants to be like on there and people love it and like connect with you, right?
Yeah. It's like I think it's hard as a creative to admit that you do want the worldly validation.
Right.
Like you
Yeah.
want to be this like deep introverted,
Yeah.
edgy, avant-garde artist, but you still want the validation, so you don't really want to admit it, So it's like, yeah. Well, do you find that, I guess, difficult? Like, I marvel at the people that can sit down and be like, all right, I'm just going to write a pop song now. This is going to be my dance joint on the record, or this is going to be the single I push, and I'll just sit down and write it. Like, have you attempted to do that? Have you done that in previous like processes?
I don't think I've ever fully gone that route. Like the other thing about writing, because I think as a person that a big part of the writing was like self discovery and like not just getting those feelings out, but actually like discovering what I was feeling because I was so shut away from those emotions. Even now, after like I've written hundreds of songs, I've been writing for like 15 to 18 years, I think. It's like every time I sit down to write, I don't necessarily know what I'm going to write about even.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time it's that way. And then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Cause then it's like I reverse engineer like what I'm actually still processing. It's like that song came out. That means I'm still not fully through that thing. Like my divorce stuff, it's over a year now since it finalized. But even more recently, like I had a song that came out that I think feels like it's that mix of like very true to me, personal, but also like general enough in the lyrics that people will connect to. It's called I've Been Thinking About You. It's talking about like I don't want to think about this person, but like still this much time later, still going through it. But sorry, now I'm like, where did the question start? I didn't actually.
No, it's good. No, thank you for being so transparent. Yeah. I find that happens a lot. I either get stuck on, all right, I have to write, all right, I can't put out like 10 deep introspective songs in a row. So I need like one song that people will vibe with. And then on the other hand, it's like, well, now it's like way too personal. I don't think I can put 5 or 6 of these songs on the album because I feel like I'm like naked out there. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I was like, keep this one on the hard drive, bro. I can't put this one out.
That's
so
scary,
yeah, right.
Have you heard that thing about like the song that you're scared to write being the one that you gotta like write?
Mm-hmm. I 100% believe that.
Yeah,
well, I think the songs that are breaking through now aren't people deciding to write pop songs, right? Like if you went into, and I'm no expert by any means, but if you went into an A&R's office or you went into Sony and was like, I have this one called Pink Pony Club, it's going to be great. They'd shoo you out of the office. Kendrick's first really big song, Why You Politicking, with these 2 or 3 shots. I'm going to show you how to turn it up a notch. You take a swimming pool full of liquor and you dive. And you can't go into Interscope with that as the hook. They'd be like, well, is that how you dance to that? It's like, I think what's happening now is people are writing experimental music, and anything that happens to be accessible flies out of here like a rocket. It just goes straight to the moon. I don't think people are sitting down to write pop songs anymore. There's some exceptions, but like that's what I think is happening now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just like the internet and the democracy of like social media and like how people just have more chance to get their stuff out there definitely has changed things. And even with like advertising and like all sorts of things, I think probably like the last 5 years, I've been thinking about how everything's been shifting towards like the new goal is authenticity, which is like hard because then as soon as you start trying to be authentic, it's easier to like fall away from being authentic.
Right.
But I've been thinking about that for so long, like even watching like you see like a commercial for something and it's like, it looks like somebody's FaceTiming somebody that's like the commercial and they're trying to make it look like it's a real, thing,
Yeah.
but it's like clearly they're actors and you can
Right.
tell. So then you're kind of like off put by the fact that they're faking being authentic.
Right.
So it's funny, like, I don't know. How do you,
Yeah. Like, what do you even do with that? It's like the minute you're trying to be authentic, you're not really authentic.
yeah.
You
And
know,
that's really hard.
the minute you're putting like too much effort, too much like inorganic thought into being authentic, you start chipping away at the authenticity.
Yeah. But TikTok's like a great example of that. Like there's a guy that I found on there he talks about like that's his whole thing is helping people be more themselves and use social media to get good at that. Like he started doing it um, to basically just like work on himself being okay being himself in front of people. When you're
Okay.
online, it's like you're in front of potentially millions of people sometimes
Yeah.
if you start getting traction.
Essentially.
But yeah, I mean it's just a skill too, like to just be okay being seen. It's like its own skill, I think.
Yeah. I mean, going like through high school, where as a musician, were you shy? Were you introverted? Did you feel like you had community? Like, where did you? I guess were you cool? Were you cool in high school?
Nah, definitely not. I mean, I think that's why, like, again, I think that's why a lot of people get into the creative world is like you get to start creating your own space. And it's probably somewhat rare that somebody's like super cool and they're like the creative, like,
Yeah.
you're cool maybe within the community if you start to find your sense of group. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely made some friends. The first year of high school, I literally talked to like one person that sat with me. And I was like, I don't really even want to sit with this kid, but like, I don't want to make him feel bad.
He's the friend you got. There's a friend you want and a friend you got.
Yeah. But, looking back, it's like, it's nice that somebody wanted to connect.
Yeah.
I dealt even into my 20s with a lot of social anxiety. I went through college and I didn't talk to like anybody. I just did my work and kept to myself. So when I was going to turn 30, that really lit a fire under me to start doing things, pushing myself out of my comfort zone, start doing open mics. And I think from there, and then also from personal training work that I did, I just had to start getting over like more of that anxiety. But it's been a lot of journey with getting over that fear, really.
I'm asking this question because I struggle with it myself.
Yeah.
If you're really trying to get out of park or try to hit your stride north of 30 years old, do you have any insecurity about age as you're watching, 20-year-olds kind of take over the internet and people come up that are, 10, sometimes 12 years younger than you?
For me, I don't think it's specifically been about age too much, but I definitely get why, because it just, you're going to automatically look out of place. Like I went to a basement DIY show, like maybe last year or something, because a couple people I knew were playing. And that was the first time I've gone to a show like that in so long. I was like, everyone here is like literally 18 to 22 years old. And I'm like 10 years plus older than that. And I just feel like I'm hanging out with these kids. I'm like, this is so strange. I'm here for the music, but like, I'm probably not going to come to shows like this all the time.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the other part of the internet stuff. It's like now people are truly like more and more looking to connect for real, where it's like, that is the special thing if you find that authenticity. So you're probably going to find other people around your age that like similar stuff to you if you're being real. And that's like, they're not going to think you're too old because they're your age or like close to it.
Yeah. It's weird. I think I like cycled in and out of it. Like I remember doing music. It was more hip hop stuff. I remember being like 24 and 25, feeling like I was too old.
Yeah.
Started up again when I was like 27, 28, took it more seriously. Felt like I was like just way past it. Wrote my best music when I was like, I think early 30s. And now that I'm in my 40s, it's nothing for me to go to a concert surrounded by a bunch of like 19 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, these are just my people. It is what it is.
Yeah,
I just refuse to grow out of this stuff, And I was like, well, if I'm not going to do music, I'll do a podcast. And that's what brings us here today.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I'll go to a show sometimes and especially I think the kind of artist I like and I found this with my personal training too, all these years, which I've done for like 8.5 years. I've never had like a very like one kind of person, at least visually, they don't look like they're the same kind of person. I've trained all sorts of people. Musically, I think when I go to shows, a lot of time there is visually you see patterns in how people dress and stuff. But the kind of artist I like, I think because it's more about like going through hard times is kind of like what unites people. You can look any way and have gone through hard times, right? So there's something really beautiful about that to me. And that's like what I would like to see when I put stuff out there. Some mix of the things I'm doing musically connects with different types of people, hopefully.
So who are you currently listening to now, man? Who's like stoking your interest as an artist?
Yeah, I've been getting a little bit back into like some of that Arctic Monkeys earlier stuff. The album that I really love is Favorite Worst Nightmare. They got like just it's almost like I don't know
What's
if
the
you
big
know.
song on? Is that the album Do Me a Favor?
Yeah, it's got like the one I really like that I think kind of like applies to stuff that I am working on right now, or that comes to mind is called Brian's Storm. I always
Okay.
thought it was like maybe like a typo and it was Brainstorm, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure it has written Brian's Storm, which is kind of an
Yeah.
interesting title. Uh, yeah, so it's just like a lot of high energy kind of stuff that I always think is really fun to drive to. Uh, that and then just like the last day or two, I've been getting back into Soccer Mommy. I think you saw my post on Threads. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I really just love a lot of this stuff in here. I've
That's
seen her
that's a
play.
new one. Is Soccer Mommy just the girl or are they a band?
I think it's kind of like how I'm doing things, where it's like she's got the band in the way that she's like presenting things online, but it's pretty much centered around. I think she writes everything. It's kind of her solo project, but it's always gone under that name, as far as I've seen. Which I've realized a lot of the bands I really like have that kind of setup.
They do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think you do it masterfully. You know,
I think so.
like you present as a band, but it's like clearly you. You know, I like
Yeah.
it.
So I've been trying to figure that out. I think how much trying to do more collaborative stuff, but I do think at the end of the day, I still want it to feel mostly like I have a good amount of creative control with it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. Is it because you don't like working? You don't like the band context, or you just prefer to have like all the creative control?
I think it's hard to let go of control,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
But yeah, I think it's also just like finding the right people. I worked with a few other people in the past that I was playing gigs with a few years back, and they were like amazing. They really elevated the songs. But I think just like as far as what we wanted to do with the music, we just weren't in the same place, and that caused a lot of friction later. Where it was like, they were having trouble with the fact that I was like trying to look at marketing and things like that a lot more seriously, and they just kind of were more purely about the art, I think, or at least that's the kind of conversations that we had.
Yeah,
Um, so, which I think there's a lot of value in that. I think people that are very like, you got to make it all about the art. There's a good point to that, and I think it's just I'm just that kind of person that's like I'm never going to go 100% one way or the other. Like I always just try to take that balance of things and keep it somewhere in the middle.
I was actually gonna ask you about that. I feel like it's rare that somebody gravitates towards both sides of the music business, the music and then the business aspect of it, right?
True.
Most creatives would be happy in a studio or on stage. And then also a lot of creatives are like the last thing they want to do is self-promote.
Yeah.
I mean, just from what I've seen of you, you do a good job of both. You have the great visual aesthetic, and then you're a dope creative. I mean, the stuff you're putting out is really different and innovative. How do you manage that duality of all right? I have to turn off the creative side of my brain and then actually like look at analytics so I could actually profit off of this stuff.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Whatever you do, I think will get better, right? Like you practice anything, it'll get better. So like I've spent the last maybe 2 years doing a lot of thinking about business and strategies and organizing my life in general, but music stuff as well. And so I think I've been a lot more back in like logical analytical mode for a while, and I'm trying to get back more into like feeling mode and like playing by feel. um, so like I went to a show last night, and that was a really good reminder, just watching people I know playing on stage, like the specialness of like getting into the emotional side of things and not letting the thinking part get too in the way. But I don't know, I think it's just a matter of like doing things that are focused on each aspect of those and like practicing both of them a relatively good amount of time. um, I just don't believe that you like have to just do one thing all the time. It doesn't really work for me. When I try to do just one thing, my brain is like, now it's like work if I'm only working on one thing at a time.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that earlier. You said kind of like working in seasons. You'll have like an analytical period where it's like, okay, now I'm pushing the music out. I have to kind of like build the infrastructure around the art, and then you kind of go back into a season of like, okay, now I'm in creative mode. Is that a good paraphrase of what you said?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to do it that way to an extent. And I've seen other people here in Milwaukee kind of talk about it. And this is probably true anywhere that's in a similar weather environment that goes through seasons. But a lot of people are like, the winter just like is a good time to write and like you kind of hide away because there's not as many gigs and you just get to like be solo and working on things and growing in a different way. And then you go in the summer and everybody's out there playing music and sharing all the stuff they've been working on. I'm really like I'm always kind of trying to like take every single aspect of everything I'm doing in my life and like push it forward a little at a time. Uh,
Healthy.
so I try to keep it that way just because I like to like make sure everything's progressing. But there are times where you just gotta grind on one thing. And for right now, I feel like that's like learning the social media online stuff so that as I also continue working on music, I just have a better, more effective like ability to get it to the right people.
Well, it's hard too because I think a lot of the art is dictated by energy. I mean, some artists have the discipline to be like, okay, I'm just going to write every day between 9 a.m. and
Sure.
1:30.
Yeah.
But a lot of artists like, well, I'm happy, so I'm gonna go write a happy
Right.
song, or I'm my most creative at 4 p.m. So I'm gonna get a few hours in before dinner. So being able to not succumb to the energy or being able to be productive in the times that you're not,
Right.
it sounds like you have systems in place. Do you even get bothered by writer's block, or because you come off as somebody who's like very organized and disciplined?
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I'm sure I'm actually curious. I know you have a book about discipline. I'm curious to read that, so that's been on my
Oh,
mind, like
thanks,
getting
man.
a copy of that and checking what you have to say on that. Yeah, no, I definitely have. The ironic thing is, and I think a lot of people that write from like heavy themes is this happens to them. It's like when you're not feeling so bad, it's harder to write because like I still like to write those types of songs more than anything. So it has been harder to write lately, and I do tend to write mostly when I feel like I need to. Uh, but at the same time, like I had a counseling session this week, and we were talking about like I was talking about emotions. Like now, I get to be more intentional about what I do and everything because I'm not being led around by like these big emotions I can't control, just because I've grown and like learned to manage those things. So another friend I was talking to too, I'm just like, all of this stuff is freedom. Like every little bit that you have more intention in what you're doing with your life, like that's freedom. So that to me is a big goal in life. Is just get to the point where like I can sit down and choose to write a song. I'm not like surviving by writing the song and barely getting through the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a shift that I'm learning. Like how do I do that and still build something that's emotional and powerful for somebody else and myself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's another throwback to balance too, right? Because I feel like one of the hardest things to do, and I have yet to see somebody do it successfully, is to actually write from a place of desperation, not feeling internally desperate, but to being like, all right, I need to crank out, this album and get it out because I got a bill to pay, or I just feel like it's being driven by financial gain always somehow seem to like taint the art a little bit. Can you be
Sure.
successful? Obviously, right? And if you have a good system and you have a good brand, yes, I'm sure you're going to be profitable. But people like write from the place of desperate. Like I feel like I write the best music when I actually am working a lot, And then I was like, it's like I'm financially stable, my relationships are stable, and then from that position of high function, I think comes my greatest music,
Right, right, right.
right? And so you juggle your art with working full time. I heard you say something about physical training.
Yeah, yeah. And the nice thing, and I'm very fortunate that like with the cost of living here and like my specific situation, I don't have super high expenses just to make it through the things I need to pay for and everything. So my training work is like I don't know, like 20-ish hours a week. It ends up being between sessions I'm at the gym and stuff I have to do outside of that. So it gives me a lot of time to still like really work on other stuff music wise.
That's cool. Yeah. So this funny thing is, if it wasn't music, I'd probably get into physical training too. I mean, I,
Right.
I like that's like I have like there's like this like meathead gene in me that I
Yeah.
still kind of have, that I never really grew out of. Like I like training
Yeah.
really hard. And I wonder if there's a correlation. I could just like working out and like music. That doesn't have to be like this
Yeah.
in-depth explanation. Do you think, does the physical training aspect, fitness, does it play a part in your music? Is there like any odd correlation, or is it just two different sides of the same guy?
Probably the biggest thing that is related is just like when I don't work out regularly, my mood is going to be affected. And it's pretty quick. I didn't realize that until like I started working out regularly. But if I'm off of doing that for a while, like it makes a pretty big difference pretty quickly. Like I start to get just kind of depressed and uh, all that kind of stuff just changes. So energy wise, I really like have to keep up with it. I enjoy it, but I also just like feel like I have to. Otherwise, my mental state is just not where I want it to be.
Yeah, same. I think I feel the best when I'm getting anywhere from like 4 to 6 workouts in a week.
Nice. Yeah.
And I feel like, all right, like I'm steady. It gives my day a little bit more structure if I know, like, all right, you got to train this morning. You got to.
Yeah. It changes things starting off the day early with that is big help.
Yeah. Does it affect your like performance at all? Do you feel like it's like affecting your writing, or like say for instance, I used to run in the morning and I would think of my best songs while I was just like alone in a cemetery, silent, somewhere around like mile 2. You know what I mean? I would just hit like a flow state, and just songs would just like come. And I don't think I'd be able to do that if I was just like watching YouTube in the living room.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people talk about like running and walking as a good idea generating kind of thing too. Sometimes I'll have something come up, but since I would really just do lifting. I've always been like a not loving cardio kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I don't have quite the same thing, but nowadays I'll usually be like, partly because I get distracted easily, or I get addicted to working on things too much. I'll be like between sets, like reading about something or like creating something, sometimes even writing like a little thing for like a song that's started already.
Yeah, man. So that's cool. So I was going to ask you, I can't, I'm not going to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but I got to ask you, what's your workout split? If any fellow gym rats are listening to the show.
Right now I'm doing like more of a push-pull legs thing. And that it's kind of like, it's less structured than I was in the past as far as just like how many days a week I get. But it's generally like 4 or 5 days a week I'll get in there. This week I've been like doing the same thing, but just taking it real light because I just like certain things were starting to get achy and all that. I'm trying to get real good about just like, okay, my body's telling me I need this. Give it the rest, give it whatever it needs, and then I'll come back better.
Perfect. And how strict do you diet?
Like not at all.
You're like, what's that diet?
Yeah. So that's another thing. It's like I used to be like 125 pounds. I'm like 5'8", 5'8.5" before I started working out. So I've always been on the smaller side. I've had to work to like gain the like 40-ish pounds that I've put on, and then like my body just seems to stabilize pretty well at this weight now.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little jealous. If I like walk by a piece of cake, I gained like 3 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, back to the music, folks. No, I could go down the rabbit hole working out too.
Yeah.
All right, so you got the summer coming up. Give me an idea of like how do you plan to spend? How is the summers and you're in Milwaukee? Like, do you guys have like is it like a hot summer there too? I'm like I can't imagine a summer in Milwaukee. Might be a stupid question.
Yeah, no, I mean, it can get up to like the 80s, sometimes 90s, but for the most part, it's pretty nice. I would say like 70s to 80s.
Like a moderate.
Kind of moderate. Today, like, for example, it's one of the like rare warmer days. It was really stormy, which has made it really humid, but like now it's like I could go outside in a t-shirt, which is nice.
Okay. So how does that affect like the music scene, like in the summer?
There's just a lot. There's a lot of music going on. We also have Summerfest, which is like biggest festival in the world for music.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's playing this year?
Oh God, I don't even know. But they do like hundreds of acts. So
cool.
I think there was like a good amount of stuff that I was actually interested in this year. It kind of was like depends on the year and what you like, But
nice.
I'll have to double check what was going on for that.
You a big festival guy?
Actually, not really. It depends. I'll usually just go see like one band that I like at a show, but once in a while, like Summerfest, I'll go to if there's somebody I really want to see, and I'll usually just go for that.
You guys have you have a basketball team. Yeah, I mean, you get like the national acts come through. They'll play Milwaukee, like when they do their tours.
for Summerfest, you can get some pretty big acts. For like just regular like touring, depends on the band.
Okay.
Like,
So
'cause I
like
usually
Mumford Drake. Will Arctic Monkeys come play Milwaukee?
I have no idea. I don't know if
Okay.
they've
Okay.
ever been here. That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean
I
like
think
that. I
they,
mean like that level band. Like Arctic Monkeys will definitely
yeah,
play Philly. They'll
right,
play. Obviously, they'll play Madison Square Garden.
yeah.
Um, but I'm curious of like how far inland like they'll go. Like will they play? You know, some of the smaller cities.
I do think that there was a. This was a long time ago, like maybe 10 years ago. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Arctic Monkeys came to Summerfest one year, and I didn't get to see that one, but I remember like that was a thing. I was like, oh man, I would love to go see them, and I just ended up going for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw them. They were always on my radar. I believe, don't quote me on this. I think Arctic Monkeys opened for the Black Keys before I really knew who they were because I was like a big Black Keys fan. But they
Nice.
were kind of like on the forefront of that like alternative wave that was like kind of
Yeah.
rising, you know? So I think before I knew they were, they came. I was like, oh, this band's pretty cool. And then my wife was banging in Jimmy Eat World and they were playing Firefly. So we went to just see Jimmy Eat World at the festival, just got day tickets.
Yeah.
And then Arctic Monkeys was just headlining that night. I was like, well, we'll stay and see them. They're a cool
Oh,
band.
nice.
And now they're headlining, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was the set that made me be like, oh, all right, now I get, oh, they're like those guys, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
had heard AM, like AM was good, but like just seeing it live and then going back to listening, like you can't, until you hear like Arabella live, you know what I mean? It's not like, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I'd
so
love to
that's
see
what
them.
made me a huge fan. That's how I was like indoctrinated, you know?
Nice. Yeah.
So there's so much I wanted to ask you, but also don't want to run out. I want to respect your time. So all right, so the project that you have now, right? And I think we talked about this in the beginning of the show. You don't have a set time for it. You're kind of like building your catalog of songs, experimenting with sounds. I know you're not putting a whole lot of pressure on yourself to have this done at a certain time. If somebody wants to support you in the meantime, like they stumble upon you, you know, on Threads or Instagram and they want to support you, how does somebody do that at this stage of your progression?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, like, you very kindly bought a T-shirt. I think, like, that was a really nice surprise to me, just meeting somebody and like getting that kind of support. At the end of the day, because of where we're at music-wise, like music industry-wise, I think those are like the biggest things you can do to support somebody is like just buy a thing that like they're putting out there that will help you. I think not only like support them in that moment, but if you like what somebody's doing, when you like, I mean, in a way, it's just the marketing, seeing the same thing over and over, right? Like, if you have the shirt and you see it in your closet, you're just going to think about that person more, and it's going to, in the future, like have you think about checking out if they put anything else out. Like, so T-shirts, I think, for that reason, are such a big thing that we don't really realize how important they are as far as building a connection with somebody. It's like if you have a photo of, or a poster of your favorite band, like whatever, you see it all the time, like just makes you think about that artist more.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. But I'm also trying to do a lot of the long-term building of connection that's outside of social media, which is like building the mailing list and doing things that are like direct one-to-one connection. Uh, so being like, yeah, jumping on those mailing lists if somebody mentions it, like that kind of stuff can be really helpful for the future. Just keep that connection going.
And what kind of stuff now? If somebody's on your mailing list, like do you have a like a newsletter or anything you're going to be putting out or anything?
Yeah, so that's something that I want to work on a little bit more, just maybe get more structure to it. But the way that I'm currently using it, and actually today I'll be sending this out to everybody on it. So I have a song coming out on Tuesday, but anybody that's on my list from now and like with this previous release too, I'm gonna get the song out to them before it comes out officially. So like that'll be a thing that'll just be like my plan going forward is like anybody that's on the list gets to hear those songs ahead of everybody else that hasn't been on the list. I'll probably do like either exclusive merch or like merch discount things, just stuff like that. That's like, okay, now you're part of the group and you get certain benefits. Also, you just get to like be in the loop about stuff that I might be working on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything other than music? I've surprised. I've probably had out of half a dozen interviews. I think half of the people were working on something other than music that I didn't even know about. Like, do you have like any other projects or anything in the works outside of the Valentine stuff?
I wouldn't really say so. I guess, do you have an example? I'm just curious.
Like for instance, I did an interview with a guy. He's a like a hip hop R&B guy. Come to find out, like he's writing plays. He had like a graphic
Oh,
novel
okay.
written, but and it's like nowhere on his socials or anywhere. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And the album that he had before the current one he was working on was the soundtrack for the graphic novel. And I'm like, yeah, I had no idea you like wrote whole books, dude. Like I had no
Wow.
idea. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I'm not. Yeah, I think all the stuff I'm working on right now creatively is like kind of intertwined. Social media. I want to continue learning, and like I have some ideas for like video stuff that I want to do for some of the coming songs. I really want to do either myself or like get somebody that's like an actual like parkour person for one of the songs that'll be coming out later. That just feels like to me like just like a point of view, like running and just like jumping over
Okay.
stuff would be super perfect for it.
Mm,
So like in my head, I can kind of see that already, but I
yeah.
don't have those skills. But maybe with the camera on my head, like it wouldn't matter. Maybe it'd be fun. I'm trying to find those like,
How
yeah,
I was gonna ask you, like, how involved are you in like your visuals? Do you have like a guy, or are you doing like all your editing and videoing yourself?
yeah. Right now, I'm doing like literally everything. I mean,
Oh,
I've
yeah. That's incredible.
thank you. It's surprisingly, if you learn a few simple skills, you can make things look pretty like somebody's there videoing you just by like a little bit of editing work. Um, but again, it's like that's why I'm talking about building systems all the time lately. There's just like, okay, I don't have the money to pay everybody to do everything. I want to do that, but I just don't have that kind of money. Um, I'd rather figure it out myself than like underpay somebody.
I can get behind that. Now, somebody coming up, I mean, you obviously have like an established sound. You've been a musician for a long time, more than half your life, like you said. What advice would you give for somebody just starting out, maybe 10th, 11th grade, just picking up an instrument and they want to kind of get through in today's day and age?
I think it's just like the same things that I'm still reminding myself of, which is this, keep learning like everything you can, like be curious. Um, don't be afraid to like do whatever just inspires you. Cause like for me, the rebranding thing that I was doing with going from like my full, like just Jorge Valentine, and then I switched it over to like, I don't think I mentioned this before, but uh, I had kind of a different brand that was Jorge Valentine, and the Honest Love is kind of like a band name. Um, and that was like kind of the opposite. It's like I had like this white T-shirt that I would wear all the time. It's got a little
Hmm.
heart logo. And my
Okay.
website's still open for that if you go to like jorgevalentine.com. But just a lot of that was like being afraid to really lean into the dark stuff. And it's like it just didn't. It had its own like positives that I really liked about it, but also like it just didn't quite fit together with some of the songs that I'm like putting out there and what I like. It's not going to attract the kind of person I'm really looking to attract, which is like people who go through hard times and like get what this music is about. And like those kind of people tend to be like wearing black clothes, like doing certain things and looking a certain way, and they're going to like immediately feel like more at home in that world that I'm building now, I think.
Mm. I like this, the world that I'm building now. I like
Yeah,
that. Because it's weird. I don't think like it looks, if you just scrolled by, right? Your mind goes goth, but it doesn't sound like a gothy emo sound. It does sound more like alt rock, and it
true.
catches me off guard in like the best kind of way,
Mm,
if that
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I took a lot of inspiration just looking at like getting this logo done from a local guy here who's really good. His name is Jason. He goes by Mild Tiger is his like handle. Um, I gave him like brand new bright eyes and I think something else as far as like ideas to go off of. And I think he just did a really great job. I think another one that I really like is The Cure. Like they have a kind of a updated logo recently that's like similar to this. It's got a
Okay, I
little bit
look.
of
Yeah, I do
distress.
like the Cure. Yeah.
Uh, but just that idea of just like the stuff is dark, and in my mind it's kind of like having the white text on the black. It's just kind of like there's some hope and there's some like light in that darkness, and that's what I'm trying to figure out how to like show people and give people.
I like that. Show people hope. Let them know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. No pun intended.
Right.
Pun kind of intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming out, spending some time. And I know you're busy as hell. But you even taking a little bit of time, especially on this being one of the earlier episodes, to come out and hang out with us. I really appreciate it, man. I'm a new fan. Hopefully, I'm a new friend. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, please make sure you stay in touch. And when you do start putting projects out, I want this to be a home for any artists, especially up and coming artists that are coming out. So if the show can do anything to move your vision forward, please let me know. I mean, come here, plug your stuff. Send T-shirts. Like I'll wear them on the
Yeah.
show. You know. just anything I can do to support you, man. Like I said, I'm a huge fan. So thank you very much. As you let us go, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, so if you go to valentine.com, VLNTYN.com, that'll take you to, most of the stuff that I have out there. That'll link you to all the other things. If you want to look me up on any of the social stuff, everything is at Valentine, the band. So YouTube and TikTok and Threads and all that stuff is under that same handle. That's easiest way to find me. Yep. And Spotify, Valentine.
Sweet, man. Well, like I said, man, I hope you're wildly successful. I'm pretty sure you will be, man. So
thanks, man.
Just waiting for that album release and that trip to Philadelphia, man, so I could come out and bring my boys and take you out in concert, man.
That'd be great. I appreciate it.
All right, brother.